Hello, everybody, and welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord, where we talk about what is happening in the world of astrology, how it is affecting us energetically, spiritually, emotionally, and your choices around these energies at this time. This is the Monday podcast where I focus on a healing theme or a special topic to help you work with some of the energies that we are all experiencing at this time. And I thought it would be especially helpful to talk about Pluto in Capricorn, as well as the energies of every Pluto generation. So this show is going to go a little bit deeper into some of the soul growth messages from Pluto in Capricorn and touch on what every Pluto generation is here to contribute to as part of a soul mission. So we're going to go into this intense energy, and it's meant to ultimately provide you with a higher sense of power. Pluto is an intense force of energy in astrology. It is known as being the evolutionary planet, what you came here as a soul to transform, the fears you're meant to face, what you're meant to work through at a human level, how you're meant to rise up and beyond it to a higher level of consciousness. Oftentimes, our Pluto energies, our Pluto lessons, our Pluto healing involves power dynamics, control, shadow energies, dealing with the darker underbelly of ourselves as well as others. And the mission is to bring in that higher consciousness and light into these energy fields. We do this individually and we do this collectively. And one way that you can truly work with this energy of Pluto is to step into the power surge that it activates within you at a cellular level. And I'm seeing this as part of the human energy field, that we know we are in our human bodies. We know that our bodies are composed of all these systems and organs and blood and, water and everything that makes up the human form. But what I'm feeling at a genetic level is that the Pluto energy comes through us as that desire to live, that desire to be born, that desire to encompass spiritual energies, energies that are cosmic, and that we have essentially a driving force that propels us into this life and into a sense of purpose, into that energy of a soul mission. Otherwise, why the frick am I here, right? And what am I supposed to do with my life? Am I really supposed to only go to work at 8 a.m., drink coffee, have lunch, take a break, be done at 5, go home, order DoorDash, and then see a movie? I mean, is that really what your life is about? Perhaps you had been on autopilot for many years and decades, thinking this was how you were meant to create a life, or that there was a certain formula that you were supposed to follow. But this Pluto energy gets activated within us, and it can show up through the Plutonic themes of power, abuse, trauma, fears, emotional intensity, anything that digs in to a deeper part of our beingness and awakens you to more of your power and to awaken you to more of your choices. So this energy is very strong right now. It's very strong as I do this show. Today is September 30th, 2019, but this theme of this show is meant to go into 2020. At this time, Pluto is stationing direct in Capricorn at 20 degrees 38 minutes. That's exact actually on October 3rd. And so when a planet is stationing retrograde, it sends a vibration through the energy waves. It sends out a louder, more intense frequency that our energetic bodies feel. And it is signaling to us, I feel again that it connects at a cellular level to something within you that knows a very deep, powerful change is occurring within you, in your life, in the world. And we've been talking about this Pluto and Capricorn energies for quite some time on this show because of how this is an energy that is very strong astrologically into 2020. And it can't be denied that huge sweeping change is unfolding around the globe. And these changes are happening in the Capricorn areas of ourselves and in the world. And so in the world, this relates to corporations, government, politics, the elite, banking, those in charge, those in a position of authority, the structures that run our lives, the structures that we have understood to be powerful. These are the areas that are falling, that are crumbling, that are changing permanently. And it is a big cycle that has the power to affect all of humanity, and it's been happening throughout 2019. Now, as Pluto stations direct, we're going to start to see more of these energies in the real world. A lot of this has been happening behind the scenes. A lot of stuff has been happening behind closed doors, secret indictments, secret summons, things happening in a way that is out of view of the public. Of course, it's not reported in the mainstream media. It's all been, taken care of in a very stealth manner because of how alarming it is, how significant it is. It's jolting. This is the stuff that changes the world permanently, and this energy is increasing into 2020 and into the next decade. So what we are each feeling individually is an activation of a new sense of your power and authority in your life, and a revisiting of what you thought was power, whether by definition or by an entity in the world, in terms of politics, in terms of government, in terms of countries. It's looking at it in a bigger sense, and it's understanding how intense these energies have been behind the scenes. It is the war that's been going on between the dark and the light. These are all Pluto energies. These are all Pluto forces. And there have been very deep battles. And these battles can sound ridiculous at first. They certainly can sound, insane and shocking. But they are real. And they are happening because of how it is time for humanity to wake up. Wake the F up. Understand that what you thought was light might be dark. What you thought was dark might be light. What you thought was a good political party might not be. What you thought was a good organization might not be. That there's a lot that's been covered up. And part of this great awakening is understanding that we are being pressured to mature, this is Capricorn, to grow, to take responsibility, to claim personal sovereignty, to claim personal authority over yourself, your life, and what you want to do here on the planet. And this pressure is growing. It's something that we have been feeling and perhaps sensing and then we go to our mind to figure it out. And we're bombarded by so many messages and information and the fighting and the circus and the ridiculousness of it all. And, you can get really worked up about different political figures and different people who are just puppets, who aren't even the forces behind the scenes. And so there's all these distractions. And this is very Pluto as well, is how can we keep the powers in place that rule, and how do we distract people? And it's the image I've been getting around this is that if you have a child and you've gone to get their picture taken and you want them to sit for the photographer, well, the photographer holds up the Elmo at the camera so that the child will look at Elmo, right, or look at Big Bird and say, look here, we want to get the right shot. Well, the mainstream media is Elmo. It's like, look here. Don't look at what's really happening. Don't look at who's being arrested or who's being, it's like people are being, there's the indictments. People are being asked to show up to court. I mean, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. Of course, the mainstream media would never report that because it's owned. All you have to do is follow money. It's really basic. It's really basic in that sense. This is all the Pluto and Capricorn energies of who owns what, who is behind the scenes as a puppet master. All of this is coming out. And if you are aware of what's going on, then you know how devastating it is. Also Pluto, devastating, heartbreaking, MK Ultra, adrenochrome, weather wars, all these things that are happening that aren't in the mass media, right, that aren't covered. The understanding that we're not alone on the planet, the understanding of how there are many more people trying to protect themselves, protect their status, protect their wealth, protect. This is a huge changeover for humanity. And part of this is the culmination energy of Capricorn. Capricorn is the fourth and final cardinal sign. And when the planet reaches Capricorn, just as Pluto is doing, just as Saturn is doing, there is an understanding of what has been unfolding since the initiation energies of Aries. And so there's this huge culmination energy as Pluto moves through Capricorn, as Saturn moves through Capricorn, into what's been truly unfolding in the world. And this energy will increase as Jupiter moves into Capricorn in late 2019. And then we go through more eclipses in 2020 and beyond. So there is a giant shakeup unfolding. And what's happening, too, is that we are being kept out of our spiritual power, our spiritual awakening, or our true advancement as intuitive beings by following the Elmo puppets at the camera, by not paying attention to how, the division within humanity is what's weakening us, right? You're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're going to fight. This is not about politics. This is much, much bigger than politics, but politics keep you fighting if you subscribe to political parties, if you're really involved in that circus and that show. As you awaken and you understand the bigger picture, you step out of those circus rings. You step out of what is not even true, and you understand the bigger picture. And you understand that this is a mass cleaning, a mass purification of very dark energies, of very long-serving energies on the planet. And as I mentioned before, this is about the ending of a dynasty, the ending of a reign of power, the ending of what has been accepted because there wasn't the true revelation of what it really is. We've accepted things because we didn't understand what really was happening behind the scenes. And there's been this increase in pressure over the past 2 years especially to change the world. And so when you look at what is happening in the world, take, for example, Venezuela, Hong Kong, France, I've mentioned these before, anywhere where there are these huge protests and revolution, these are each the same issue in different countries around different trigger points, but there's the same battle unfolding between the New World Order and those who are the globalists who want to maintain control, who want there to be surveillance, who want each of us to be connected to technology, who want to maintain all the financial structures. These are the individuals who want to maintain control. And what they're coming up against is the battle is then between those who believe in the power of the individual and of freedom and of independence, and that people should not be controlled. People should not be under surveillance. People should not have to, subscribe to all these smart devices, which are truly control devices. I mean, that's great marketing right there to call it a smartphone, a smart TV, when it's a control phone, a control TV, a control. So there's good people, and I'm going to call them the white hats. There are good people who understand that this has to end for the betterment of humanity. And these are the people who are operating behind the scenes in a very complicated game, to end the control mechanisms over humanity. And this is all the Pluto and Capricorn energies right now that are going to, again, keep unfolding into 2020. And to understand that as these Pluto energies gain momentum, gain more strength and force, and they have an intensity, you will be riled up at probably, because it will hit you at an emotional gut level. What is right, what is wrong, what is fair, what is unjust, what is truth, what is not true, what is harmful and damaging, and what is not okay anymore on the planet. And there are very, very good people who are supporting the light. And I felt, especially since July of 2019, that there has been increase in light in the planet. There has been an increase in understanding truth. I also have felt that there's been this increase in a deep sadness, a deep, I don't even know how else to say, heartbreak, devastation. Because part of the Great Awakening, part of this awakening is understanding some really hard truths. But it's when we look at those truths and we face these fears, when we understand more of what's been operating under the surface, then we gain our power back. That's our choice, is to then claim a new sense of power around it to make new choices. And so all of this, too, the bigger picture, is related to Atlantis themes and how the Atlantis energies, the Atlantis experiment was very much about technology and genetics. Technology and control and surveillance, and what could you do, what could you get away with, how could you maintain power structures. There was a lot of genetic experiments. That's also what's happening on the planet right now. That's heartbreaking, is the people, marginalized populations who are being submitted to these genetic experiments, to experiments with vaccinations, to all kinds of things that, of course, you would never hear about. There are these ongoing, it's like a disrespect for human life, and how far can that go in order to maintain power, to have wealth, to be in control. So these are all Atlantis themes. And we are revisiting them we are feeling them in us being activated. We are seeing what is unfolding that is related to these themes. Each of us perhaps is feeling an awakening to the Atlantis energies, to past lives, or even rather the current timelines, because of time being concurrent, and there is an Atlantis timeline right now that's active on the planet. And so you are here individually to understand what your power is in navigating these themes, these energies, these Pluto soul growth messages. There has been an increase in this energy, especially in the past 10 years. And what I was feeling before I did the show was, I was tuning into my guides and asking, this is such a big topic. This is huge, right? All of this information is very big, and I want to be a good teacher. I want to be a good messenger. I want to be a good astrologer. I want to give you what is useful. And so I was requesting, what can I offer? What can I share that is supportive? Because I don't want to go down a track that would make you go into the lower energies. And what I heard was that so much of this past decade has been pushing each of us to work with and clear our lower chakras, root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus. And this could have been happening for you through a procession. And I've particularly heard it since 2010 because of the intensity that came up around 2012, and how from 2012 to 2015 we had very intense astrological energies pushing us, not allowing things to be clear or steady. We had to be moving through a very deep evolutionary period as the Pluto in Capricorn energies were being squared by Uranus in Aries. That happened 7 times, very rare, 7 times between 2012 and 2015. And it was like digging into the root chakra at a soul level, and then working with the sacral chakra, and then working with the solar plexus chakra. And so clearing us out, often in a painful way, in a way that we thought, why would I ever choose to do this? But asking us to get stronger for this decade. And so I got the image that we've been deeply working with our sense of security, safety, creativity, power, self-expression, desire to be here, desire to be on the planet, desire to step into our power at a whole new level. And then this energy is rising up now to the heart chakra in a way that says you're understanding more of who you are at a soul level than ever before, and that what you didn't love about yourself, you love it now. This is an all-encompassing love energy that is guiding us through the upcoming years. And we are activating the heart chakra, the heart consciousness, the love energies that were not present in Atlantis. And we are activating them with new energies that are present on the planet, as well as millions of us who are awakened, millions of us who are aware of some stone cold hard truths, millions of us who say, oh, this is not the end. Oh, this ship is not going down like that. There are so many people who are saying this is going to be a powerful new beginning for humanity, and I contribute to that. I participate in that. I am going to see to it that in this lifetime I am a part of that change. And this is Pluto running through your veins at a cellular level, reminding you that you came here for very powerful reasons. Now, the Pluto energies that I'm going to briefly cover here for each generation, I'm going to start with Pluto in Cancer. And that's because Pluto was in Cancer starting back in 1913 to 1939, so about 26 years. And Pluto in Cancer was an intense time on the planet around what it meant to feel safe and secure, especially during the First World War. So the Pluto and Cancer generation came in to feel a deep connection to those Cancer themes of safety, security, the mothering energy, self-nurturing. What does it mean to create a home? What does a home mean? What needs to change in the maternal lineage? What needs to shift? And it was a soul's desire to understand more about how these feminine energies of Cancer can be powerful. Cancer is associated with nostalgia and where you came from, and seeing, how far you've come in your life. So the Pluto and Cancer generation is part of a collective soul mission to feel safe on planet Earth and to redefine how to feel safe within oneself. Then we have the Pluto in Leo generation, which is roughly 1939 to 1956. And Pluto in Leo is a very powerful force. This is a very creative energy. This is when there was a desire to make one's life built on one's own urges. And it was a time when there was more businesses coming forth to be created. There was the boom in suburbia of I'm going to have my own home, I'm going to build my own life on my terms. It's a very independent energy, and it has a very strong will. So the Pluto in Leo generation is here to be that creative force, to trust oneself, to follow one's heart, to follow one's urges, to be perhaps even entrepreneurial, to be creative, and to understand that there is a power in the heart. It's like I get the image of a force field that comes in and says, I'm going to build life on my terms. This is a very powerful generation of Pluto and Leo. Then we move into Pluto and Virgo. And this was roughly 1956 to 1972. And the Pluto and Virgo generation is a time of being very active in your daily life, in your work, in your ways of feeling purposeful at work, of being of service, of wanting to do it right, wanting to improve systems. The Pluto and Virgo generation also brings our attention to the body, health, healing, what you need to feel supported, and how that is ready to change. The transformations that are underway around our understanding of the body, our understanding of health, relates to Pluto in Virgo. Because every Pluto generation is here to change something drastically. They are a part of the change, and they are the change. So this Pluto and Virgo generation is understanding what real health is, what a healthy life looks like, without sacrificing it to others, without giving up what you need in order to support other people, and how this relates to your body, how this relates to healthy eating, for example, and how if you look at the movements in food, understanding the growth of organic food, gluten-free food, the rise of the harms of Monsanto, for example. Like all of this is very Pluto and Virgo, saying that's not healthy, we deserve better, this is what the body needs. All of this is where we are changing our lives, and that's because of the Pluto and Virgo. Then we have Pluto in Libra, which started in roughly 1971. and was in Libra until about 1984, so 13 years. Pluto in Libra, 13 years, compared to Pluto in Cancer, which was 26 years, because Pluto has the orbit is different. It doesn't stay the same in each astrological sign. So Pluto in Libra is where we're transforming relationships and partnerships. And this can be where power struggles show up in relationships. And you understand, well, what do I need to be an equal with others? The Pluto in Libra generation was some of the first to experience divorce or latchkey kids growing up in the late 70s or early 80s, and what a marriage looks like or what a healthy union looks like. And they could have learned that through unhealthy situations. Pluto is where we face fears. So the Pluto in Libra generation is facing fears around relationships and perhaps getting married later, partnering up later in life, understanding that there's something around relationships that could feel restricting at first until they go into the psyche of what do I need in a union or in other people that I work with that honors my power and honors their power. So Pluto in Libra brings up power dynamics that are shared and how to shift that, how to change that. Then we have Pluto in Scorpio. And this was roughly 1983 to 1995. Now, for these years, I'm saying roughly because of how Pluto moves in and out of signs when it's transitioning. So in 1983, you could have Pluto in Libra, while other people were born with Pluto in Scorpio. So the Pluto in Scorpio generation is transforming how we share our resources, how we look at sex, how we share what we have with other people. This is the generation that really initiating the sharing economy, such as Uber, Airbnb, what you own that you can share with other people, social media and how you share your energy with others. Pluto in Scorpio goes very deep into very big fears, and the fears could be around going it alone and what you do share with others versus what you keep for yourself. Very deep power dynamics, what it means to work with money and finances and what you own and what you don't own, what you borrow, your loans, your mortgage. The Pluto in Scorpio really goes into more in our psyche, how we belong and connect with other people, the value of intimacy, and even gender lines and how the gender conversation has opened up dramatically in the past 5-10 years, and what it means to be transgender, what it means to be between genders, what it means to be both genders. All of this is very Pluto in Scorpio. So there's an intensity with this generation that is rooted in looking at what we fear and how we can work with it so that it offers us new choices. Then we have the Pluto in Sagittarius generation that is roughly 1995 to 2008. And so these are the individuals who were born around the turn of the century. 1995 to 2008, this is when we opened up to the world more in terms of travel, in terms of what does it mean to be carefree. The Pluto in Sag generation is out there, on the airplanes, visiting continents. They don't want to be stuck in one environment or in one school, for example. This is the generation that gave birth to the power of experiences. And that's something that's come up a lot through gift giving, right, where people say, well, I want to give experiences, not things. This is very Pluto in Sag. Pluto in Sag are obviously the globe trekkers and those who don't want a conventional education or who don't want to do things the way everyone else wants to. They are asking us to look beyond what we have accepted, to keep learning. This can be related as well to the growth in spirituality, in the desire to understand the bigger picture, but not be locked into religion or to one specific belief system. The Pluto in Sagittarius energies are asking us to go beyond what we thought we had to do in our lives and to stay open to the adventure. But these can be individuals who are hard to pin down, who don't want to stay in one place, who don't want to buy a home, who don't want to commit to a mortgage. And all of that changes the global atmosphere. So the Pluto and Sag generation is about staying open to the world, and this is actually filled with a lot of seekers and those who want to keep understanding. Then we have the Pluto and Capricorn generation, and these are the kids born between 2008 to 2025. So this is obviously the energies that we're in right now. And these are the individuals who are here to give us a new understanding around how a system can be built, how structures can be formed, how to do business. The Pluto and Capricorn generation is going to push through and transform business even more. They're going to transform politics and government. Whatever is happening right now, the Pluto and Capricorn energies, these are the kids who are living through these big world changes. They're going to have it as part of a very integral part of their life, very formative, and they're going to be the ones who said, okay, I lived through all that when I was growing up. I saw what had happened to my mom. I saw what happened to my dad. I saw how it affected my family or how it showed up in my school. And they're going to be the ones who know different definitions of, I'm going to say, of power, of authority, of what it means to be on top, of what's fair, of what's in integrity, of what's not, because they will live through this revelation of corruption, betrayal, lies, deceit, mismanagement of power, abuse, all of it, and they're going to be the ones who go forward and say, we have to do something new. Coming up in 2025, as we jump ahead, we'll have the Pluto and Aquarius individuals who are born with Pluto and Aquarius, and they are going to be big thinkers, huge ideas, genius breakthroughs as they go through their life, and they're going to be the ones who bring in more solutions that we can't even fathom right now. We can't even see them as possible at this time. So this quick review, of course, there's so much more to say about Pluto, and if you're interested, I would recommend getting a book on Pluto, such as one of the books by Jeffrey Green Wolfe and others who specialize in evolutionary astrology, because this is an important understanding of the forces of humanity, of the forces of evolution, and what you agreed to at a soul level in this incarnation to permanently change within yourself first and then to contribute it to humanity. So we have a lot of power that is coming up for us to look at, a lot of things coming up for us to understand. There is a huge, I'm going to say request, if you will, a request or understanding to detach, to observe, to witness, to remember the bigger picture, to tap into. I feel it is to tap into parts of yourself that are not identified with groups, beliefs, and structures, and to step back. And as I say this, I can sense that so many of you are resisting that because of how different groups and energies and entities and structures have been an integral part of your life. And so that is to be honored. But with these big changes happening, you're going to we all are going to open up to even more. And there's more unfolding through many different timelines and possibilities. And so that's another part of this, is that astrology shows us the themes, the energies, and the timelines. It gives us an understanding of when energies are the strongest. And there's many ways that that can unfold through different revelations and timelines. 2020 is so big, not simply because of the Saturn and Pluto conjunction in January, which is also during a lunar eclipse, but then in June, we have very strong energies. I'm calling it the mega eclipse of June 2020. And we have a very different tone to the second half of 2020. So the first half of the year is very much about what is being revealed and what is coming out and what we're coming to terms with around responsibility and corruption and karma. And, it has been happening, as I said, in this year, in 2019, but it's going to be even more evident and bigger in 2020, shocking, jolting, unsettling. But then the second half of 2020 is the anger, is the protest, is the big emotional surge coming out. And all of this is working with us emotionally, energetically, intuitively, because we are energetic beings. We pick up this stuff. And then again, we go to our minds to try to understand it, but our minds don't always understand it. It's too big for our minds to understand. So we're needing to navigate through this very potent energy field with a new trust in ourselves and our spiritual abilities. And it's where you take what's been seeded, developed, and grown over the past decade, and you use it wisely, with discernment, with responsibility, with integrity. You understand where there's a good use of your energy and where there's not. You understand, where you want to participate and where you do not. And there are, of course, unlimited potentials around how this can show up and how people will use their free will. But if you're truly awake with what's happening on the planet, you're stepping away from politics, you're stepping away from some of the things that are happening in the financial world, you're stepping away from what needs to collapse. And I'm getting that image of Las Vegas when they collapsed the casinos, right? And they're putting the explosives in a very intentional way, because it's the pyrotechnics are very detail-oriented, right? You don't want to get it wrong. And there's a collapse. And there's a collapse here. This thing's collapsing, and you don't want to be standing too close to that huge collapse or being suffocated by it. So this energy is increasing, and the best thing you can do is know your power and know your choices, as well as connecting it to the bigger themes that are collapsing and changing on the planet. I talk about these 2020 energies in my 2020 Soul Growth Astrology program, the 3 webinars that talk about the personal planets, the outer planets, and then the 6 eclipses of 2020. So be sure and check that out below this podcast. You can use the code POWERFUL to get the whole program for $22. And my intention is to help you know your choices, know your power, know what's showing up for you, and at least have a heads up on the area of your life that is going to be shifting permanently, so that you can be energetically aware and spiritually willing to grow in that direction. It's easy for all of this to sound like hyperbole, and that, of course, is never my intention. There's many other messengers out there who are sharing these messages and information as well, and it can be validating to hear things from multiple sources. So do what you can to educate yourself, to know what's happening on the planet, and to, as always, maintain your power and your choices during these very, very dynamic years. I am grateful to be connected with you through this work. I never take it for granted. I appreciate your time, and I hope that this has helped you with some things you can do now to maintain your sense of self and a connection to your soul's mission. I will be back on Wednesday for our next intuitive astrology and energy of the week ahead. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in the 2020 Soul Growth Astrology program. Take good care, and I'll see you soon.